That's racist French.
Yes.
Kind of.
The Filipino tribe that lives on water. Is it really possible for humans to live on water? Your answer would depend on your experience and the depth of your understanding of the aquatic life. Did you know that there's a people in the Philippines that live on water? Yes! This ethnic group can be found on a number of islands in different parts of the region. The Filipino tribe that lives on water is known as the Bajau. Have you ever heard anything about these people? What did you know about the Bajau people? They're also called the Sama-Bajau tribe. In this video, we'll assume that you're limited in what you know about these people. Note also that the nomenclatures used in describing them shall be used interchangeably. Who are the Bajau people? You may have accidentally come across the description of the people, the Sea Gypsies or the Sea Nomads. If that's the case, you know something about the Bajau people. That's how the world around them describes them, and they proudly bear it. They're the same family known as the Sama-Bajau. They're people who have lived on the waters off the coast of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines for centuries. The anthropological approach to understanding them links these people to these three nations. We do know that these people are the dominant ethnic group living on the islands of Tawi-Tawi. However, that's not just the only place you find them. They're also found on other islands of the Sulu archipelago and in coastal areas of Mindanao. The Bajau are also found on other islands in the northern Philippines, and that's why we refer to them as the Filipino tribe in this video. Throughout the eastern Indonesian islands, northern and eastern Borneo, Sulawesi, and as well as in the eastern Indonesian islands, you'll find them. In the Philippines, however, the Bajau people are grouped with the Moro people due to their religious similarity. However, due to the conflict in Mindanao within the last 50 years, many of the Filipino Sama-Bajau have moved to neighboring Sabah and the northern islands of the Philippines. Yet, they keep their floating homes, which always keep them connected to the sea. This is consistent with the fact that their distance from the mainland keeps them disconnected from modern civilization. This probably explains their ability and willingness to maintain their way of life and age-long ancestral traditions despite the influences of modern globalization. The Sea Nomads. Did you notice that we refer to these people as the Sea Nomads? Yes, it's because the Bajau are really nomadic people. You can easily find them traveling in small boats organized into flotillas, meandering around the waters throughout the regions now known as the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And what are they doing? Simply stated, hunting fish underwater for food. Their hunting is subsistence, using their spear when the need arises. Though they traditionally live in small boats, the vessels are topped with thatched roofs, doubling as homes to protect them from the elements. This is not to say, however, that the Bajau are afraid of elements the way Westerners and Orientals are. They have the ability to sail day and night. Braving all elements, they use their fishing skills to make a living. Can you now appreciate why they're referred to by the title, the Nomads of the Seas? In a given day, a Bajau might spend a total of 5 hours underwater, where he's a complete master of his environment. The only equipment he needs and uses are his handcrafted wooden goggles and a spear gun. These abilities, though, do not result from merely dedicated training. Bajau people are born, live, and die with the tides. The Bajau people have lived all their lives at sea, for generations. It's long been a way of life, so much so that the habit they cultivated has enabled them to develop special adaptations to their oceanic lifestyle. Thanks to the patience the boat-dwelling Sama-Bajau have learned and cultivated while living on waters, they see themselves as non-aggressive people. Their life on water. How long can you last underwater? Well, you may cursorily say a minute or two. But can you really sit a foot or so or hibernate beneath the surface of a pool for 60 seconds? What about 120 seconds? Now, you know the significance of a minute or two doing the exercise. How about holding your breath and actively swimming as deep as you can go below the surface of the ocean? If you endured 30 seconds of swimming down, you'd probably rush back to the surface. But for the Bajau, the Filipino tribe that lives on water, that's no big deal. It's a way of life. According to reliable reports, these people quite confidently swim 200 feet below the ocean's surface and last for up to 13 minutes. Can you imagine that? The Bajau have developed and continue to intuitively develop their knowledge of the oceans. This has made them adept sailors. From birth, they've evolved to hold their breath much longer and dive much deeper. Biological makeup. From their smallest children who learn to swim faster and better than they can walk, to their elderly, every Bajau finds his place in the fishing trade. On a lighter note, the Bajau are said to worry less about counting their ages in years. What matters to them is today, the present moment, and the situation with their health and the weather. Then, they can worry about the bounty of fish that come in. Something more biological, rather than learning or training, must be a factor here. Their genetic makeup is quite different. In 2018, a popular journal reported that the people of the Sama-Bajau tribe are genetically connected to their environment. While diving frequently helps the Bajau to become more capable swimmers, their lung wall and abdomen have also become more compliant. They have stretchier diaphragms. However, research has shown that the Bajau also possess a useful genetic trait, with gene variants absent in other tribes who do not live their lives on water. Researchers say on average, the Bajau people's spleens are up to 50% larger than other people's. The primary purpose of the spleen is to filter blood. This organ, under normal conditions, stockpiles oxygen-rich red blood cells. Biologically speaking, the spleen contracts when a person stops breathing and evacuates the cells to increase oxygen in the body. In people with unusually large spleens, surviving longer in oxygen-deprived environments, such as underwater, follows the same as if they're on a high mountain peak. Some Bajau go the extra mile by deliberately puncturing their eardrums so that they can handle the intense pressure underwater. This facilitates their free diving lifestyle. But such people tend to become hard of hearing or have other issues with their ears in their old age. The Bajau tribe today. Unfortunately, many disparate impacts are erasing the traditional nomadic lifestyle and other Bajau ways of life. They've been dying out for years. First among the factors working against them is that nomadism isn't compatible with modern states. So many of these people have settled on land or in stilt villages on shallow seas. Some Bajau, perhaps influenced by modern materialism, engage in fishing practices that are directly inimical to the environments they rely on. Such practices easily damage sensitive coral reefs, which in turn form the habitat for many of the species of fish the Bajau people themselves rely on for food. Another practice is industrial fishing, which also depletes the fish stocks they survive on. The bottom line is that the changing world is rapidly erasing the Bajau way of life. Before now, Sama-Bajau are generally regarded as peaceful, cheerful, and hospitable people, despite their humble circumstances. However, the incursions of the outside world are producing foreign traits in some of them. Besides, a significant number of them are still illiterate and impoverished, no thanks to their nomadic lifestyle. They know better and are now attempting to change their situation for the better. It goes without saying that the number of modern Sama-Bajau kids born and living primarily at sea is drastically diminishing. While it was unimaginable half a century ago that someone born into the Filipino tribe that lives on water cannot swim, the story today has changed. Cultural assimilation and modernization are dealing serious blows to those cultures, as earlier noted. But we can also blame that on the dissolution of the Sultanate of Sulu. If this traditional patron of the Bajau had not given way to bartering fish for farm goods, the culture and tradition of the tribe would have been preserved. Today, the money-based fish markets have replaced the seasonal trade surrounding mooring points for subsistence only. This necessitates a more land-based lifestyle so as to have access to a greater market and penetrate more deeply. Now, what have you learned here or elsewhere about this Filipino tribe that lives on water? Please let us have your sincere take on this in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.